What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to everybody. Y'all, this has been a really amazing week as you all continue to pile on in here. I just want to thank everybody for taking their time to attending to learn the secrets to building a nonprofit. It's a masterclass. It's going to be very filled with a lot of great information. And I'm just really delighted. I got a really great presentation for you all. Some opportunities for you guys that are looking to grow your nonprofit. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes here. I'm going to be very cautious with time. I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes um, to let everybody jump on. If you can do me a favor right now, drop in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from, right? I got a lot of people that's been following me from all across the country. But also, I know I got a lot of folks in here, maybe be from my hometown or from places that I've been a transplant to, Atlanta, etc. Let me know where you are coming from. I am excited just again to share this space, to share these opportunities with you all. Let me know where you're coming from. Drop in the link below. Let us know where you're coming from. I just want to give a big shout out to the LPLU staff. They're going to be helping me today. They're going to be assisting me with today. I see we got people here from Kansas City, from DC, Texas. Guys, really excited. Thank you again for investing this time, investing into these opportunities, investing into yourself. Professional development is so important. But again, I want to just give a special shout out to the LPLU team for just coming through today and making sure that we have a seamless, great masterclass session. I'm going to be going about 2 more minutes, going to be jumping off here just again to get us started. But let me know if you're just not joining. Let me know where you're coming in from so our team can better know how we can support you. Thanks again for all of you all who are investing today into your professional development. And excited about another minute and a half. I'm going to get this show on the road. Looking forward to it. 30 seconds left. I'm going to be jumping on, getting this masterclass kicked off. I want to give it some time here as well. Since we don't do these often, I want to give some time here towards the end of the masterclass just to have you guys to ask some questions, just so that you can jump in and ask questions to myself. There's not many times that you can get someone that not only has walked this road, but somebody who's continuing to elevate in this nonprofit space. And so I just want to give you guys some time here towards the end. Here in about a few more seconds, we're going to be going live. If you know anybody that needs to be on this masterclass, tell them to come on. Tell them to come on. We only got a few seconds left. We're going to get this show on the road. Again, I'm super excited. Lorenzo P. Lewis, and welcome to the LPLU Masterclass, where we're going to learn the secrets today about how to build a nonprofit and what's going to separate you from somebody else that may be building a nonprofit and help you get ahead of the game. We'll go ahead and progress to the first slide. Welcome again to the LPLU free masterclass. We're going to learn the secrets. We're going to learn what separates certain folks in the marketplace, right? What separates us from getting a grant and those who don't? What separates those who go from 2 years to 7 years to 8 years? We're going to learn that today on this webinar, on this masterclass, right? We're going to learn that it's there's a formula that has to be had in order to start your nonprofit and to not go out of business. There's a lot of folks that get into these spaces that start a nonprofit, and then they hit this with this, oh, it's not working out for me. Oh, I'm not able to get funding. I didn't get to get this right. And I'm going to tell you what's going to separate you from someone else that needs this information, right? And so right now, as we dive into this, I just want to also talk a little bit about myself. What makes me qualified, what makes me credible is I'm Lorenzo P. Lewis. Next slide, please. Lorenzo P. Lewis, a nationally recognized mental health advocate, and starting a great organization called the Confess Project of America. If you have some time, you can Google right now what the Confess Project was. It's a national mental health training organization that's trained over 3,000 barbers and stylists to be mental health advocates. And the Confess Project to this day, right now, is in the city of Atlanta. And as a founder, I've stepped away from that work and started my second nonprofit with me and my wife, Ellen J Empowerment. And now we're focusing on workforce development and juvenile justice, months away from opening a barber school. And right now we're doing some great work in the state of Arkansas around deflection and supporting young people between the ages of 14 and 21 staying out of jail. Next slide, please. But while starting the Confess Project, it was this vision that I had. It was this great opportunity that I knew we could connect people, everyday people in our community, such as barbers and stylists, to be a listening ear to someone, right? A listening ear to someone who needs help, right? Someone like myself, I was born in jail to an incarcerated mother. I was incarcerated at the age of 17. I went through a lot of challenges. I went through mental health challenges, family members who faced mental health challenges, substance abuse use. And so I used my story to build an organization. But while building that organization, I did a few things that allowed me to stand apart from other people. I was not only building an organization, but I also partnered with Gillette. My organization that I started, the Confess Project, got over $500,000 in funding from Gillette, which is owned by Procter & Gamble, based out of Boston, Massachusetts. I believe Procter & Gamble headquarters is somewhere in Ohio. Partnered with the Texas Rangers on an event in Arlington and built a partnership and proclamating Mental Health Day for the Texas Rangers for families and the young people that they serve in their academies. Partnered with Snapchat and working with Snapchat on a mental health initiative. Did that work. It was very amazing. Snapchat reached out to me blind, had no idea. I did a TED Talk, and this is the power of your message. The power of building your nonprofit is positioning yourself. And so I did a TED Talk in Pennsylvania, and the TED Talk did really well on YouTube. You can check it out. Make sure to type in TEDx Talk Lorenzo Lewis. I've done 2 TEDx Talks. But while saying that to say, it was about branding my message that allowed me to create the secret that allowed me to stand apart from other nonprofits. And as you see ADNA here, we partnered with ADNA, $200,000 grant we got from ADNA to start producing, to doing wraparound services in the barbershops in the city of Atlanta and across other counties across Georgia. And so, ADNA has been a courageous sponsor of the organization. Google was another organization that we worked with as well, working with young people who were getting into STEM, helping them with their mental health, their social and emotional health, their social and emotional journey. Truthfully, this was a great opportunity of working with Google. And as you see here, the Atlanta Falcons had a partnership with them for 2 years, over $100,000 working with the Atlanta Falcons and the Arthur Blank Family Foundation in the city of Atlanta. And then lastly here is SAMHSA. And the organization that I started still has a relationship with SAMHSA and a 3-year grant getting over $700,000. They're now supporting women across the city of Atlanta to be mental health advocates through beauty salons, massage parlors, and also nail techs. And this is the power of bringing powerful entities, corporations, and foundations into your work. But there's a few key things that you must do in order to retrieve and to get these funders on your team. Next slide, please. I'm going to jump into how do I start these steps and what are some of the things that I need to do. We're going to first start off at the foundation, your vision and your mission statement. These are very key cornerstone opportunities that you are going to need in order to grow. Having a clear vision. One thing when I built that organization was we was clear about that we were focused on training, technical assistance, and capacity building, right? And so when we went out for funding, we was very clear that we wanted to build up everyday people to be peer supporters of the clients that they would see every day in barbershops. And that our mission was that we were an organization supporting mental health, particularly in the Black community. Right now, the mission of the nonprofit that I'm leading is more focused on juvenile justice and workforce development, providing those opportunities of individuals staying out of the vicious cycle of incarceration and providing employment. Being very clear is going to allow you and your nonprofit to go to the next level. As we go next to the legal and regulatory considerations, it's going to be very, very important as you're building your organization that you have the proper legal in place. A lot of people think that you just go and start a nonprofit. Oh, I applied on a state website. I got my certificate back. You want to make sure that one, you are dotting your I's and crossing your T's. What services are you providing? Are you helping people with disabilities? Are you going to be helping? Are you going to try to build a shelter? Or are you going to try to build a home for battered women? You want to make sure that you have the proper regulatory compliance things in place. You want to have the proper insurance in place. You know, we ran an organization that was dealing with mental health. Someone could give us a call any day and say, "Hey, I'm about to take my life," and they could really take their life. This has never happened, but I'm just giving an example. What if we didn't have the proper insurances in place? I wouldn't be able to be here right now telling you about the journey of you starting your organization. So we had certain things in place that protected us as an entity. And it was also more than insurance. We had processes in place, right? So that's very, very important. And if you can't afford a lawyer, make sure that you can get into a program in your local city that provides support to entrepreneurs that are giving you legal and technical assistance support. Make sure that if you're not already, to check in with your local community foundation as well. But most and foremost, check in with your city government to see what programs are they offering for entrepreneurs. Majority of the programs that they do offer at the city level offer some type of technical assistance and support for entrepreneurs, and make sure that you're getting into those legal programs. Also, there's Legal Shield. There's a lot of other legal opportunities out here. And also, feel free to partner with your local legal institution, your college, and your local community. I actually got a lot of support when I first started our organization. I worked with a local law school in Arkansas, and they gave us a lot of support. We didn't have any money, right? And so they helped us get started. And so these are just things to think about. Moving on to board development and governance. You're going to want to make sure that you develop the right board, that you also develop the right governance. You want to make sure that your bylaws are tight. You want to get a legal person to look at this, right? You want to make sure that those things are in alignment. You want to make sure that those things are going to help you propel and go to the next level. You want to make sure that you get the right board, and I'm going to talk about that here in the next slide. But moving on to strategic planning. Strategic planning is so, so important. You want to ensure that when you strategically plan out what are the activities that I'm going to offer, what are the things that I'm going to do, how do I plan to reach those goals? And you want to have what they call smart metrics in place. What are some of the ways that you're going to be able to measure your goals and your outcomes? I never forget, we said that we would, one, move our organization to the headquarters of the city of Atlanta, that we would start a transportation program, that we would also open up a center. We did all this within under a year, right? We exceeded our strategic plan within a year, but we had a 3-year plan, meaning that in 3 years, the goal was to accomplish all this, but we did it in 1 year. So when we went to ask for funding, we had a plan that had already showed that we had met the outcomes and the goals of what we initially decided. Now, we paid a strategic planning consultant $18,000, right? I'm not advising you all to go out and spend $18,000 on someone to help do strategic planning, but what I am saying is you need a strategic plan. You need to ensure that you know where your organization is going, because it does allow you to do the health and the outlook of the organization. And so those are just things that you really want to consider. Do it even at a lower level, right? Build out year 1, year 2, objectives, goals, plans, and just stick to it, right? Some things may change, pivot, make a difference, right? Make a different angle and shift. It's okay. Next slide, please. Fundraising and strategy and resources. It's one of my favorite topics, right? We just talked about in the last slide prior to this about all those funders that I had. You must have powerful fundraising strategies in place. I right now have a development person, 2 development people on my team that supports the nonprofit that me and my wife run, but you will need a fundraising strategy. You will need this, and particularly you will want to ensure that you plan for how you're going to raise funds for your organization. I always tell people to think local first. Think about your local banks, your local businesses, forming a sponsorship letter, getting out there in the community and asking people to support your work. asking people on your social media to support your work. Before you start thinking about going to your Bill Gates foundations and your Ford foundations, you're trying to apply for these grants, start local first. There's a lot of local organizations who's giving away items, toiletries, equipment, computers. Ask them to help you first. Financial management and sustainability. You want to ensure that you, one, have a CPA in place, or at least a bookkeeper at minimum in place. You want a bookkeeper to help you to start to tally your assets, your income, and your cash flows in your nonprofit. If you're not doing this, you're going to have a lot of challenges later on. It's going to be hard for you to really understand the growth and where you are in the health of the financial health of your organization. I never forget the first couple of years when we first started, I was all over the place. I had no real guidance on the financial health of my organization. So when we got to year 3, we was ready to file taxes. I was super confused. It was really hard and it took a long time, and we probably could have actually got ourselves in a deeper hole, but gratefully we didn't. And so I just ask you that early you start the bookkeeping, the management, tracking your funds, filing your 990, your taxes, make sure that you're saying that you want to do this, because if you don't, it's going to hurt the sustainability. And sustainability is a long-term play. I'm not sure we have time on this masterclass to talk about sustainability, but I do have something great at the end of this presentation that's going to allow you to jump in if you want to talk more about sustainability. Developing and implementing programs. You want to develop great programs. You want to come up with a program. If you're going to target homeless individuals, you're going to target at-risk youth, you want to make sure that you develop programs where you can hire people that can take over the program that you started. You don't want to create a program that's dependent on you, because that's not a real program. That's just a passion. Make sure that you develop something that can move without you. Develop a program. When you go to the revenue office to get a driver's license, they have a step and process, a system. They can fire somebody one day and hire somebody 2 days later. They got a program on how things work. You got to think about when you're building a program, building a system where it goes from A to Z, and it goes steps 1, 2, 3, right? You got to think that way, because if you're not thinking that way, you're going to hit a lot of roadblocks, and that will, in fact, stop you from becoming a powerhouse in the nonprofit space. Marketing and communications plans, my favorite, love it. You want to have a marketing plan on how you're going to market what you do, right? I've been featured in over 100 media outlets, and one reason why I've been featured in over 100 media outlets, because I hit the ground and I've met reporters everywhere. I pushed out press releases. I learned how to write a press release. Y'all, I have a lick of experience in journalism, like no lie. But I put myself out there, right? I use social media. I got help from people. Even when I didn't have the money, I met folks that had blogs and that had access to other folks. I made it work. When we started finally getting funding, I hired me a coordinator that then took some of the things I was doing and said, hey, take over this. Well, while they was doing this, I went and built more relationships with more reporters. And I got in front of more news outlets. Make sure you can Google Lorenzo Lewis, find out all the things that we've done. We've done amazing things in the media. I've been on the Kelly Clarkson show. I worked with Oprah, CNN, ABC, NBC. I've done these multiple times. And that comes from because we had a good plan in place, right? We also built something that the media wanted to hear about. We was helping Black men and barbershops and mental health. And we was also, in addition to that, helping them in a space where they hadn't had their support. So when you're thinking about what you're trying to build, right, you got to think about what is it that's unique and innovative, and do someone want to hear about it? Do someone want to talk about so you may want to rethink. If you don't feel like it's going to catch fire, you may want to rethink this, and you also want to do the research. What's buzzing right now? Right now, we're about to hit an economic recession. What is it in your program? What is it in your thinking that you can do to amplify, to help this recession and help your program in the recession, but not only help people get funding, but help your word get out? So you got to think about that as well. And having a communication plan. You want to have a crisis plan in place. You want to have a crisis plan in place. Again, if you're interested in learning more about the crisis plan, that's something that I can help you all with as well. But that's something that we'll have to work on in the more of the long term if you all decide to want to go to the next level. But having a crisis plan, having a detailed emergency plan of how you're going to tackle things, having having the right network is going to allow you to really package the right marketing and communication plan. Next slide, please. It's time to take action, right? Like it's all of these things I've dropped in a short period of time. It's time to take action. What are you waiting on? We got to get something going, right? I've given you guys stuff about regulatory and legal and all these amazing things, but we got to take action. We got to create an action plan with specific tasks, timelines. You got to identify the responsible parties. You got to think about when you're building a nonprofit, it's not about you. You got to think about building a team. You remember my first team, I had my intern, I had a college intern, and I literally paid them maybe $3,000 on a stipend. And I broke it up like a bi-weekly payment, right? I made them my first employer. And it was beautiful because that was my training ground for hiring more employees. Right now, my company has over 20 people hired across doing different things. But the last company I hired, the last company I started, they have about the same amount of employees, but I only started with one person, right? So we're talking about, and that's just on the minimum. I've engaged many, many more contractors and employees than what we have, let's be honest. But the reality of it is that we started with one thing and we just grew it from there. We kept growing and we kept growing. And I brought in an HR person and I figured out ways to continue to amplify that. And even with funding, right? I remember my first sponsorship was $2,500 from a treatment center, right? I did a mental health fair, a community health fair, and $2,500. And now we're able to get $400,000 and $500,000 grants at a time. You have to start with one thing and you have to grow that thing, right? You have to expand that. You have to figure out what are the details, but you have to think about what's the research and what am I doing that's going to help me to amplify to get to where I really want to go. And so making sure that you put a plan together, and this masterclass is for people that's serious. Everybody who's gotten on here today on a Sunday, you're serious about wanting to go to the next level. And I only want to take serious people with me because I was very serious to build two organizations that's been able to raise millions of dollars, hire people, put multiple offices in different cities, be seen on national television, win awards, win accomplishments, because I followed task timelines and I also made sure that I had goals and actions. You don't get there by not developing this. And so I want to work with serious people that are serious about wanting to do the outcome that I was able to achieve. Next slide, please. This is probably one of the most critical steps. I don't care how good your idea is. You can literally have the recipe for making Pluto function like the world down here below, although it may already do so, right? Whatever the idea is, you got to have the right board members involved. You must have the right board members involved. I'm going to say that again. You don't have the right board members involved, your idea, your foundation will crumble, period. And I know that from firsthand. I've had some horrible board members in the past, and I'm saying that for public record. It is what it is. I had some really awesome board members as well. But I will say this to say, when you're starting to build a nonprofit, your board is going to be very important. Right now, I don't have a lot of board members on our nonprofit, and I'll tell you why. Because I know all the industry players, I know where all the funding is. I can pick up phones and get to make stuff happen. And I'm a media magnet, meaning that every once or twice a month, I'm getting an interview, meaning I'm getting in front of new people at all times. I'm getting funding. And that's one of the key ways to getting funding is visibility, right? And so I've become an industry professional in this space, meaning I don't have to have as many board members, but starting off, I had to have a lot of board members to help me get to this point, right? I'm grateful that I have been able to slack back in the numbers of that, but however, I still have a board. And when you have a board, you have to have people around you that can still help you. So I am not that good where I don't need help. You know what I'm saying? But I've become much better over the years where I don't need that amount of help. Having a great board in place, particularly in the beginning, will help you to drastically reduce time, drastically increase income, drastically increase impact. Reduce time, increase income, and increase impact. That's what board members will do. And you have to utilize board members right. You have to ensure that when you have a board, that you're giving clear instructions. You need to have a goal on your board. How much money are we raising this year? Who are you connected to? Who do we need to be connected to? Who are your friends connected to? How much time are you willing to give me once a month? These are questions that you need to know on the front end. If you have these things in place, you're positioning yourself for having a solid nonprofit business. Next slide, please. What is the secret behind starting the perfect nonprofit that's going to be sustainable, that works, that's going to allow you to go to the next step? What is the secret? What does it look like? You see over here support, you see partnership, you see growth. That's a great framework to start with. But what does it take? What does it start with? What does it look like? Thank you again to our team member, a solid board member, for dropping that in the chat. That's super powerful. It will increase income. It will reduce time, and it will increase impact by having a solid board. And that's a fact. You need those people to help you do that. But the secret that I hadn't talked about yet, right? The secret that I've talked about in the videos, or the things that you're looking to learn more about, you got to have relationship management when building a nonprofit. These people are folks that some work in the highest places of corporations, state governments, city governments, foundations, wealthy people who form trusts and endowments that give away grants. You have to know people in the community. You have to know people in the nonprofit space. You need to be able to go to conferences and create relationships. I literally have a relationship years ago, going to San Francisco, going to speak at an engagement, met a donor. That donor introduced me to two other people, and then those two other people was able to give us a $200,000 or $300,000 grant. I just met this person in the lobby, and they really liked what we did. And then they introduced us to more people, and then that's what happened. But I stayed in contact. You know what I'm saying? I made them a friend. We became cool. You know what I mean? Relationships win things. You got to make sure you have relationships that you're going to grow the business with. Your finances. Earlier, I talked about the bookkeeping, having a CPA. When you're starting to get these grants, that's $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. They want to see financial statements. They want to see bookkeeping. They want to see balance sheets, profit and loss statements. You got to have a bank account set up with the business, with the EIN, with the nonprofit charter. Or if you're under another nonprofit, you need to have a physical agent agreement, an MOU. These are things that you need to have in place, because you're not going to get the 50 to 100 to 150 to 200 to $500,000 grants. You still ain't going to get the $1 million grants. Finances is going to be key when building a nonprofit. Financial sustainability, I want to be clear about that. A lot of people can tell you what they want to say on the internet. I promise you, these people want to see financials. You know, they want to see it. If you can't show it, they're not going to give you the funding. It's just not. You know, you got to think of grant in most cases in a nonprofit. You don't have to pay it back. You're not even taxed on it. So the least you can do is have your finances in order, right? Having a CPA or a bookkeeper on the front end is going to really help you save a lot of time. Then lastly is sophistication. This is the last secret. The secret is sophistication. You know, I talked about media. I talked about image. You know, I've been able to meet very important people, artists, celebrities, different folks. But beyond that, my marketing, the marketing that we've been able to put out, the graphics, the way that things appeared, hiring the right logo artists, all of these things have to be sophisticated, right? Industry standard. You got to make sure that you're not taking shortcuts on hiring people that's doing poor quality work. Make sure if you get a logo made that you're getting the best quality work and the tent done that's going to allow that to really show itself in its most boldest and make sure it looks good. That's just one example. You bring on a board member, make sure they got clean headshots, right? Make sure they got a nice bio on the website, right? Like these are small things that really truthfully can win you over. Sophistication is really key. And these are just things on the optics. We get into talking about your bookkeeping, having things structured like that. Making sure your team in public have the right, polo on, make sure that they're dressed out right when they're going to conferences, they're in the community. Like these are just the small things. And a lot of people think it's about the big things. It's really not. Yes, in nonprofit work is about research, it's about outcomes, it's about impact, it's about funding, but it's about sophistication. How sophisticated do you look in order to stand out? There's hundreds and thousands of nonprofits. What are you going to look like to be different? What's going to make your mark? Right? And you got to make sure that you make that mark. I am an African-American male, and I'm not a doctor nor a therapist. I'm not a criminal justice professional. I did go to school and get a couple of degrees. I got a lot of hustle and a lot of grit. I have some lived experiences that makes me, want to help do the work. The reality of it is I was outnumbered. I was over people who had more education than me. But one thing that they couldn't beat, I was sophisticated. I had my finances in order and I had relationships. That's what allowed us to get to the next level. That's what allowed us to work with foundations like Walmart, to get funding from people like Morgan Stanley, to work with Google. The list goes on and on. To get shout outs by Jay-Z and Rock Nation. Like the list goes on and on. To work with Rick Ross, the list goes on and on. So you got to make sure that the sophistication is up to par in order for you to stand apart. But there's hundreds and thousands of other nonprofits doing the work. People are forming these things every day. What's going to make you stand out to be different? And I'm telling you, these funders are not writing checks to every organization, right? So when you're focused on making sure that you're hitting these, your marketing, all the other stuff I talked about, right? It's a lot that we got to hit, but you're going to need help on this journey. You're going to need help on this journey. You're going to need someone to help guide you on this journey. It's not going to be easy. It's a process, but it's possible. And next slide, please. We understand that there's a few things in our journey where we need someone to help us walk through those. And right now, today, we've dropped the price, making the coaching $6.99. This is for one session, but this is also, we're adding in the nonprofit kit. This comes with a workbook that we've worked very hard on, a training, 2 videos that come in this as well, how to fund and how to start. Also a session with me. There's anything that I talked about today that you're totally not, I don't went too fast, I don't understand that. You'll have me one-on-one to help you walk through this. One thing that I do for all my private coaching clients that work with me one-on-one, you're immediately tapped into our coupon code list, meaning that if there's any other boot camps, any other sessions, any other major programs, we'll make sure that you get the discount to go into any of the other programs. If you're not ready today to go into the private coaching with me working one-on-one, and I mean, I'm gonna just be honest with you, I don't work with anybody one-on-one. I want to work with serious people. As a matter of fact, if you're not ready to work one-on-one, I wouldn't even advise you to sign up, because I'm going to make sure that when you leave that session, that you're ready to go to the next level. I'm going to make sure that I put you in contact with people that's going to help you go to the next level. I'm still an executive director. I'm still in the space. I am not one of those coaches that's teaching something that don't know what he's talking about. I literally wake up every day and I still run a nonprofit. Like every day, you know what I'm saying? Like I still get funded. I'm doing this every day. right? And so this is what separates those who are really doing the work and those who are not. A lot of these coaches are becoming coaches and they don't even do the work no more. They're not continuing the work. And I think that's ridiculous because nobody's perfect and we're all still learning. There's still things that I'm learning. I got a coach. I got several of them, right? And so we want to make sure that while doing so, that you are prepared and equipped. And so as we think about all the things that we've talked about today, could you go out and try to do this on your own? Absolutely. But having someone to help guide you is going to help you go faster. That's the benefit of having a coach. That's the benefit of going to college, right? It helps you get the information faster. It helps you get access quicker so that you can move on to the next step of the journey. If you're not ready today to tap into the coaching session, again, this is one session for an hour. I may extend it a little longer, depending on how serious you are, but you also get the nonprofit kit. You're gonna get 2 videos and a workbook. But if you're not so much ready for this tonight, make sure to visit the shop page for the LorenzoPLewis.com. We have a ton of different products ready to go. My team is going to drop that link in here as well, the LorenzoPLewis.com/shop. We got tons of different worksheets, videos, different things that you can have that's going to help you with going to the next level. This program tonight, this personal coaching session that will be offered, again, is one session, but also it comes with the kit. It's for serious people only. This is for people that's like, hey, I got a nonprofit. I'm trying to get funding. I need help with a grant. I need help with this. Can you help me do this? Like, that's for people that's like, if you're one of those people, you need to be tapping into the private coaching. If you're not, then you need to visit the shop page till you're ready to go to the next level. And I can guarantee you the industry is so fickle in the nonprofit space. When I say fickle, it's all about who you know, like connections and all of that stuff. You're gonna need someone to help guide you through that stuff. Like right now, I still got people that haven't funded our work and having those different challenges. Still having those challenges with making stuff happen. Even myself, somebody who's done a lot of great things. I worked with Harvard University. We've worked with Harvard University. Our team has worked with Harvard. We have research that we've done with Harvard University. That's the best school in the world. There's still people that tell us no. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so, but this is a maze, and you're going to need someone to help guide you through that maze, right? I want to open up the waves. Time now is 7:40, 7:40 Central Standard Time, where I'm at. And I want to open up the waves for someone who just may have a few questions. Drop here in the chat. One of my team members will, we're going to only select a few questions tonight. But if those are questions that I feel are reasonable, please feel free to drop them here in the chat. We're not going to be doing many more of these master classes. We'll be doing some here and there. I want to be very cautious of our time. We're putting out a lot of great information, but we really want to work with people that's really serious and ready to go to the next level. I'm really looking for those people. And so I want to spend more time with them than doing these free master classes. So I'm looking for people that's ready to go to the next level because I have some keys to some rooms and I'm ready to get these keys to some people. Want to give a great big shout out to one of my mentees. While you're on the private coaching page, check out the testimonial from Miss Drika, one of my recent clients. She just won the Nonprofit of the Year award. That's the kind of impact that we're making, helping people like her. When you go to the private coaching page, when you click the link there, check out that testimonial of that young lady who's doing amazing work. Make sure that you're tapping in with her, just kind of learning like, hey, this is what happened. See someone that's living proof of the impact that we're making here at LPLU. So. First question I see is, can you explain the process of having a physical covering another nonprofit? the first thing that I do know that comes to mind is you have to have an MOU that's available, a memorandum of understanding that helps to detail the relationship with you and the other nonprofit. And also there has to be financial agreements in place. So that's also a relationship based on using that nonprofit's governance to you so that you can go out and get funding and run your program appropriately. But the first thing first is really having that MOU available. And then as well as having financial agreements available about how you're going to do bookkeeping, how you're going to make sure that the money flows in and out, reporting, et cetera. So it's just having clear agreements in place that's going to allow you to be able to be a fiscal agent. So really good question. I'm opening up just for a couple of more questions tonight. We're going to be shutting things down. Good question. I got it here from Diane. If we want a shelter but don't have a building yet, do you need insurance in the place before getting the building? That is probably a question that you would need to ask, one, from an insurance agent, and then two, you want to ensure that I would first talk to a commercial insurance agent about who insures facilities or buildings first. You want to make sure that that's something that you can be able to retrieve. I would also check with your city or your state to ask about any guidelines and compliance, regulatory things about how the shelter needs to function, rules around it. I'm not sure. Every city and state is different when it comes to those things. And the last question from Ernest Metcalf is, how long does it usually take to get a nonprofit going? Ernest, that is a really good question. It totally depends. I've seen people get up and going in a month if you have a physical agent, kind of like the last question, where you go under another nonprofit and you can get going as early as 30 days. But you have to have the proper paperwork in place with the state, giving you, approving your nonprofit, a relationship with an existing nonprofit, an MOU, and an agreement in place. If you're looking to start your own, where you have to go out and get your own federal charter, that's going to take much more time because you have to wait on the IRS to give you approval. So it's two different processes. You can become a physical agent, or you can also start your own nonprofit by going through the IRS. It's not impossible, but you got to fill out what they call a packet with the IRS. And I would advise for you to bring a CPA to help you fill out that paperwork, so that you do not make an error on the paperwork. Because I've seen people that's gotten approved for nonprofits and then they can't use the nonprofit because they checked the wrong box on the IRS paperwork. So make sure that you find the right person that can help you with that. Really good question, Ernest. Hopefully that was able to bless some people tonight. It really blessed me. And again, this was an excellent opportunity. If you want to follow me, want to stay locked in with the work that we're doing, please follow me on our platforms at Lorenzo P. Lewis on Instagram and Facebook. Follow me on LinkedIn, constantly dropping things about business, nonprofits, coaching, etc. Make sure that you stay locked in. If you're really serious about going to the next level, you're looking to jump in again tonight only. We got till midnight. You can lock in at the private coaching and look forward to seeing how you guys could grow. Nevertheless, if you're just interested, make sure to visit the shop. We have a full shop full of different products and courses and different things that you all can jump into, and look forward to seeing you guys grow, seeing you all go to the next level. The link is in the chat. If you're looking for private coaching, you're ready to work with me one-on-one, make sure to click the link here below. Only till midnight tonight, that's going to change. And then nevertheless, if you're looking to do more, make sure that you visit the other link. But nevertheless, stay locked into LorenzoPLewis.com. If you all have signed up on our newsletters and our text club, we're going to be sending out a lot of amazing things. So make sure to stay Stay locked in. Thank you all again. I really appreciate it.